to my channel. My name is Ayala and I have a confession to make. I'm going to try and accomplish quite a ridiculous reading challenge until the end of the year, and that is the A to Z reading challenge. So the A to Z reading challenge, also known as the alphabet reading challenge, the ABC reading challenge, is quite simple when you look at it. You need to read 26 books, and each one of those 26 books has to start with one of the letters of the alphabet. Pretty simple, right? But here's the catch. I'm going to try and complete this challenge until the end of this year. God help me. So I thought that in this video today, I'll show you my TBR for this reading challenge, as well as for some of the letters of the alphabet. I have a couple of options with a couple of different books, and I would like you to help me decide which book I should choose. Obviously, when you come to look at the titles, you do not count A, B, or N if it's the first part of the title, and you take the letter that comes after that. But I decided to cheat with the letter A, and that's because I just had to read this book. And this book is A Book of Spirits and Thieves by Morgan Rhodes. I'm currently reading it. I'm nearly done. And the reason that I wanted this book to be the first book that I read was A, because I have another book reserved for the letter B, and B, because Frozen Tides is finally coming out next month, and there's no possible way that I could have read that without reading this first, so mission accomplished. For the letter B is a book that I have for ages said that I'm going to read again and again and again, and I always pushed it back, and that's because I just couldn't face the fact that the story and those characters were coming to an end. But then the author announced that we'll get to see more from these characters, and I will get another story that has to do with them, and that just opened the doors, my friend. So I reread the previous book in this series in preparation so that I could finally read The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. Please don't give any spoilers. I'm shocked that I could go on until now without reading the book and not getting spoiled at all. For the letter C, I've got two books, and I need you guys to help me decide. The first book is The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling, and J.K. Rowling is queen, so obviously whatever I'll read by her, I would absolutely love. I've heard actually fantastic things about this series, and I do have all 3 books that are out, and I have still not read this first book, so it's kind of time already to get started with it, I think. But I just recently got, and by recently got, I mean like 30 minutes ago, got Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Royal? How do you say her last name? Let me know down below in the comments. An entire book all about the fanfic. I'm psyched about it, so help me choose which book to read. For the letter D, yeah, another book that has been lying on my shelves for ages, and that book is The Demon King. Now, in my defense, I did start reading this book, but at the time I was highly obsessed over another fantasy book, and it kind of felt very similar, so I put it down after like 2-3 chapters because I knew that I would love this book if I'll just wait and read it at another time, and somehow that other time took 2 years to come, so yeah. And for the letter E, I also have 2 options, and I need your help on deciding which book to read. The first being Eon by Alison Goodman. This is the first book in the whatever it is called duology, since I'm not exactly sure what it is called, but this book is kind of like the Disney movie Mulan set in this Japanese world. It sounds nice, but I'm not the biggest fan of the Mulan storyline, you know, with the girl that dresses up as a boy and in order to become a fighter and whatnot. Yeah, not the biggest fan. And my second option is Emma by Jane Austen. Now here's a fun fact about me. I never read anything by Jane Austen, and I've never seen any of the movies that are based on her novels. So this will literally be the first time that I will ever be exposed to something by Jane Austen or based on something that has to do with Jane Austen if I would read Emma. Now, do you think Emma is a good place to start? I mean, I've heard by a lot of people that Emma is one of her better novels, but at the same time, I feel like everybody would recommend starting with Pride and Prejudice, and I'm not exactly sure if I want to read that book since I do know how it ends. And for the letter F, finally, I'm going to read Frozen Tides. I've been anticipating the release of Frozen Tides way back for when Gathering Darkness was released. I've been counting down the days because, come on, I need more Magnus and Cleo in my life. You all know, we all need more Magnus and Cleo in our lives, so Frozen Tides, come out already. And once again, I have two options, and this time for the letter G. So I will either read Gourmet Rhapsody or The Girl on the Train. Now, this is the companion novel to one of my favorite books of the year so far, and that is The Elegance of the Hedgehog. This is My Merle Barbary, and I've heard a ton of good things about The Girl on the Train. So why don't you let me know what you think I should read? At the beginning of the summer, my best friend, who has been with me since 7th grade, moved away, and she also celebrated her birthday. So I decided on making this really kind of extravaganza, beautiful, and really thought out present for her that will serve as a birthday gift and as a going away gift. Part of that gift is his Dark Materials, but not my copy. This is my copy back from the 4th grade. If you can tell, I read this trilogy quite a lot. It is my favorite trilogy of all time. Like, seriously, nothing can beat his Dark Materials. But anyway, the reason that I'm giving her a copy of his Dark Materials is because ever since, I think it was either the 8th or the 9th grade, I have been lending books out to her. I have been like her personal library. I'm like forcing books down her throat. And the only trilogy that was just off limits to her, and it's off limits to anybody who would ever want to lend it from me, is this. And that's because I cannot bear to part from this edition of his Dark Materials. But not only I am obsessed with his Dark Materials, but I've gotten my entire family obsessed with it along with me. So overall, we have like 8 copies of his Dark Materials. So I got another copy for her, one that I'm rereading and annotating along, so that when I give it to her, she will not only be able to read what is my favorite trilogy of all time, but she could also read it along with all of my notes. So I've gotten about halfway through the 2nd book in this trilogy, which is The Subtle Knife. I have to finish that book, and I have to finish The Amber Spyglass because it is getting ridiculous on how much time I'm dragging out making this present for her. For the letter I, I'm going to read Ignite by Lily Paradis, and I have a Kindle version of it, which is why a picture will appear now. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have any books in my TBR pile that start with the letter J, so I had to be a little creative. Tales of the Jazz Age by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And yet again, I have never read anything by F. Scott Fitzgerald, so do you think that's a good place to start with his works? For the letter K, I am going to read a book that everybody has been obsessing over. The plot twist, it is not even funny, and I do not know what accent I am trying to talk in. Yeah. And that is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. First of all, I approve. Second, everybody has been obsessing over the like super huge plot twist in this book where you find out who is the prince and who is the assassin. And because of that, I really didn't want to pick up this book because I have like this suspicion that I'm going to be one of those people that will get it right and would not be surprised by the plot twist. One of my favorite movie trilogies is the Librarian movie trilogy, as well as one of the most heartwarming TV shows that I watch is the Librarians TV show. I love both the Librarian movies and the TV show. I know that some people might find it to be predictable and cheesy, but that's the charm of the movies and the TV show. So if you watch it for those things, which is why I was so happy when I found this book. Excuse the horrifyingly ugly cover, but this is Libriomancer by Jim C. Hines. And this basically sounds like somebody took the 3rd Librarian movie and kind of twisted it up a bit and put it in book form, and that just sounds glorious to me. Here's another confession. I never read anything by Stephen King. There's a lot of first times with this reading challenge, and that's because I'm going to read Mr. Mercedes by him. And we have gotten back to the 2 option kind of letters, and that is the letter N. I have 2 options for the letter N. The first being The Novice, which is the 2nd book in the Black Magician trilogy by Trudy Canavan. I recently read the 1st book, which is The Magician's Guild. So I should probably continue on with the trilogy since I actually really did like that book. And my other option is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. The book that I have picked out for letter O is a book that I literally only got because I was in a major book hangover from the first 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North. I highly recommend you go and check out that book because it is absolutely amazing. And in that book, our main character has this ability, or more like this way of living, that whenever he dies, he relives his life over and over and over again. And so I got this book, On the Still Breeze by Alistair Reynolds. Now, the man in this book, the main character, has different versions of himself in different parallel universes, and from what I understand, they are somehow going to meet, like, with their original person. So that's going to be interesting. Another letter with two options. So for the letter P, I have two options. The first being The Panopticon by Jenny Fagan. This is a sort of dystopian, I want to say, standalone YA about this very troublesome girl that gets put away in juvenile detention center or something like that, only to find out that some people are experimenting on her. That's what I can get from the flap here. The other option is Poison Study by Mary V. Schneider, how do you say her last name? I've heard fantastic things about her books and about this particular series. So one of the books that I started listening to on audiobook was The Queen of the Tearling. I eventually got it in physical form because it did really interest me, but I kept falling asleep. So that's the book that I'm going to read for letter Q. And we're with duo options again. For the letter R, I can either read Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, which has been getting absolutely amazing reviews. The other option is Revolution by Jennifer Donnelly. For the letter S, yet again, I have two options. 2 is the magic number here, guys. So I can either read The Second Empress by Michelle Moran, who has, just with one book, become one of my favorite historical fiction authors. She wrote Cleopatra's Daughter, which was about Cleopatra Selene II, the daughter of Cleopatra and Mark Antony. And the way that she wrote the story, the way that she was able to capture the time period and the different cultures and the culture clash, it was just amazing. But on the other hand, I recently acquired Saga Volume 5, so I'm thinking about doing a full marathon from Volume 1 all the way to Volume 5 of Saga. For the letter T, I have yet again two options. The first being Theft of Swords by Michelle G. Sullivan, what is described as an epic, awesome, incredible fantasy trilogy that I really want to read. On the other hand, I've got Edgar Allan Poe with Tales of Mystery and Imagination. So this is a sort of bind-up of some of his works. I've never read anything by Edgar Allan Poe, but I really do want to read something by him. So once again, I'm torn between the books. I can't choose. Don't make me choose. You choose. For the letter U, I plan on continuing on with the bind-up that I started earlier on in the year, and that is The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. I literally only have one book that starts with a V, and that is Vampire Academy by Michelle Mead. So I just don't have a book on my TBR shelf that starts with the letter W, but I do have the first volume of a graphic novel series that its name starts with the letter W. So I've picked out Wayward Volume 1 String Theory. I don't know about you guys, but I do not have a book that starts with the letter X. So that's going to be kind of like my wild card, which is basically going to be blank. And depending on my mood, I could just pick out whatever book I want for that letter. Not only couldn't I find a TBR book that starts with the letter Y, but I couldn't find any book that I own that starts with the letter Y. So I decided to use my backup plan, and that is use a book that starts with numbers, which is why I'm going to read The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out the Window and Disappeared by Jonah Jonason, or I was just supposed to pronounce it Yona Jonason, which is kind of like, it's spelled Jojova, but you say it Jojova. Comment down below if you know from what movie that quote is, because it is my favorite movie of all time. And finally, we have come to the end of the alphabet, the letter Z, and basically I couldn't find a single book that starts with the letter Z, but I did find an author who wrote a book that I absolutely love. Her name starts with the letter Z, and that is Shadows on the Moon by Zoe Marriott. Thank you for watching. Please help me out. Let me know down below in the comments which books out of the options that I did present for some of the letters. Remember, there's always 2 options. Help me out, pick one. Let me know what you think I should read. I would really, really appreciate it. As well as, if you enjoyed this video, please check out my previous video where I talked about the books that I recently read. This is basically spontaneity at its finest. This is not formal, and lots of people don't do it in such a short amount of time. But if you want to join in, I'm more than happy to do this challenge along with you, as well as if anybody wants to buddy read one of the books that I showed today, I'll be more than happy to do so. So let me know down below in the comments. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I wish you to have a wonderful week from now on. Thank you, and I will see you in my next video. So, goodbye!